Good afternoon and welcome to the ESI Africa studio. With us we have two gentlemen from ABB, Goran Arvidsson and Mats Ryberg. Mats directly on my right, Goran next to him. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having us.
That is our pleasure. And today we're going to be discussing some of the challenges and opportunities within the African power market, specifically looking at safety and security as well as network availability. Goran, if I can start with a question directed to you. When it comes to network availability, it's one of the key challenges in the African market. Would you possibly be able to share some insights with us or opinions on the challenges and opportunities in that regard?
Yes, I can. I see that the lack of funds for maintenance and also the feeling for maintenance is one of the key issues here. Where there are different difficulties finding funds for it, and by that you also have a lack of availability in the network.
Yes. Do you believe, Goran, that maintenance is enough of a priority, or that perhaps we need to look at changing the culture around maintenance within Africa?
We definitely need to change the culture, not only in Africa, worldwide, I think. So therefore, I think it's very important that we do that, and also, therefore, we have also come up with an advanced tool that will help the utilities to choose the correct way in doing maintenance and to sort out which equipment will be the most important one and will make the most difference.
Absolutely. Goran, I know that before this we were discussing some of these challenges and how ABB is also really trying to assist utilities with some of these core challenges, and this sparked more discussion in terms of the safety side, but we'll get to that in a moment. What are your thoughts, Mats, in terms of issues around maintenance and it being a priority?
Especially when it comes to availability and maintenance. So we see that a lot of customers and utilities are suffering from a lot of power cuts. So that's the same thing with as we mean with availability. So some references is that the availability of the network in some countries when the utilities are measured and getting a penalty when it's a power cut. So they actually need to pay when it's a power cut. We can take one reference like Sweden, where we are coming from. The availability of the network is 99.98%, and utilities are still working to improve the situation because they would like to have zero penalties. While we hear in many countries in Africa, the availability of the network can sometimes be as low as 60 to 80%. So this problem or this opportunity with having a penalty system has driven the product development in countries who have the penalty system. So, for instance, from ABB, we have solutions solving the problems. For instance, with having solutions that have where you can work and add new customers to the network without needing to cut the power, and that also helps the maintenance because the utility does not need to notify the customers that, hey, we are going to cut the power. So that's the two good ways of addressing it. To find solutions that are doesn't need to be cut down when working on it, which ABB has, and to implement then maybe a penalty system. So that could be a driving factor for the utilities.
Very interesting suggestions. Thank you, Mats, and definitely food for thought. Goran, if I can also just get back to you, one of the discussion points before the interview, we were talking about some of the mission critical infrastructure that really needs to be a focus area when it comes to maintenance and obviously ensuring network availability. Can you talk us through some of the risk profiles that we were discussing? And also, I think there was a strategy that you had mentioned, and I thought it would be lovely to share with our viewers, just in terms of how we can break it down, looking at mission critical versus non-mission critical infrastructure.
Yes, we have a picture here on the screen trying to explain a little about that theory. and the theory behind it is that normally we measure the condition of the equipment, and we take maintenance procedures and steps out from that. But we have decided to use something that is called reliability-centered maintenance, which also takes the importance in consideration. And as you see here, if we merge the importance and the conditions together, then we could have a matrix showing a completely different way of approaching the maintenance systems, and where we instead of talking about the conditions or time or everything, we talk about the risk. So where we have the highest risk is the part of the equipment that we should really focus on and put the money where it's best needed.
That's it. So it's actually a very holistic way of looking at the risk profile, which at the end of the day will yield better results at the end of the day.
Yeah, definitely. We have seen that less money give more and better results with this approach. So it's really important.
I think many utilities would potentially be surprised to hear that less money can actually yield better results. Do you have any comments on that, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important what Goran is saying from a service point of view and from a method point of view. I think that's a really helpful method. So this is surely something to do, helping. And I'm working more on the product side. So maybe we can have a look at the next page explaining.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, we can return to this page.
That's fine.
So on this page we see a development of solutions as many of the utilities in Africa are using today. So on the low voltage side of the utility network, the distribution network side. So in the 1930s there came one kind of technique level, which is very simple and which is requiring a lot of maintenance work and a lot of power cuts. Because when adding a new subscriber, they need to cut the power for the existing subscribers. But as I alluded to before, as I spoke about before, regarding the penalty system, we have been in some countries forced to move to systems that does not allow any power cuts. So already in the 70s, we from ABB came a solution that reduced the power cuts almost to 0%. So as we go, as today, we have some solutions that doesn't need any power cuts at all, because they are a completely safe system. The problem with this system, they are not safe.
Yes.
So that's the reason why they need to have power cuts. But by solving the safety issue, then we can directly go and add subscribers to the existing touch-proof system. And I don't know, if we continue to speak about the safety system, we can go to the next slide.
Matt, I was actually about to say, if we can stick with this theme, because there's some frightening statistics out there in terms of what happens when the safety and security isn't prioritized. And if you can just take us through that, and if we can move to the next slide, that would be great.
Yeah, so I mean, we are from Sweden, so we have some examples from Sweden. And this is some statistics, not funny statistics, but from the 1970s and before, a lot of people were injured and killed in Sweden due to electrical shock. Yes. And due to that, the government and the utilities took this very seriously. They put very tough specifications to be able to reduce that, to put the risk from the maintenance people and then move it as demands on their suppliers. So ABB has been very quick to find solutions on these challenges. So already from 1970s we have solutions, and as we see here, in 2030 we have 0 people killed and injured thanks to these kind of solutions. And we see also some African countries are now also switching over to this technology. For instance, in Zambia, in Uganda starting over, and most countries are considering to change now and working with pilot installations to try out the safe solutions, which also give the good availability and no maintenance work. as well.
Absolutely. Mats, I think you're spot on there, and I know that Sweden doesn't necessarily have everything right, but I'm sure that Africa, the countries here, we've got something to learn, and especially from a safety and security perspective, and there is still a lot of work that needs to be done to ensure that lives are protected. Any thoughts from your side?
No, not more than what Mats has told you, and it's clearly visualized by the picture here that this is working. And actually, I mean, this is a very good way to show that safety also could lead to better availability. Because that is, here we have full safety with zero incidents, but also the availability is very, very high compared to what it was before these demands came up.
Absolutely. Goran, I think you've really summarized it very well. The two are not mutually exclusive, and we really need to focus on both at the end of the day to get a better supply and ensure that our economy can actually grow with a stable supply of electricity. Mats, any final thoughts from your side?
Yeah, if someone think that this means a lot of increased costs, it's not the case, because it's also comes with very cost-efficient solutions, especially looking at over time. So looking at the lifetime, this solution can even be cheaper than the solutions that exist today. So it's probably slightly more expensive to purchase in the beginning, but in the long run, it's better quality and lasts longer.
Absolutely, and in a sense, the solution pays for itself over time.
Yeah, that's true.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. I believe that we are out of time, but your insights are invaluable, and I really appreciate you joining us today. And to our viewers, thank you very much for your time. My name is Pamela Lard, reporting at AUW for ESI Africa.